Morning, Kyla.
Good day.
Living our best lives in the hell realm,
Oh, absolutely. It's all fun and games.
as ever. Um,
So yeah, here
you
we
and I
are.
felt we wanted to meet up, and I asked you, and I'm just going to read what I wrote you, Kyla, just because it was a couple of things. Kyla, can we unburden ourselves and speak out loud about sovereignty? Because I'd wondered, I want to talk about sovereignty according to own self, as opposed to the routes and paths being offered out there by, others and people and projects that you don't know who they are or what they're doing or what you're supposed to agree to. So my main sort of bugbear with this era, plus all the previous decades, is your unspoken consent is taken from you, like from the moment of birth, and it just keeps going on like that. So I don't see any meeting of hearts and minds that has ever happened here on this planet,
Yeah.
because of the various power hierarchies, within and without, above and below, as it were. And you and I speak quite a lot together, daily, don't we? And we root through it all together,
Yeah.
and we're not impressed. Over
No.
to you. What do you feel like saying about it all?
Well, yeah, I think that's very interesting topic, how we've sort of been given all these like ways to think and then sort of like then by accident claiming them as our own in a way and then living it out.
Yeah,
And because everyone's like in perpetual suffering, whether they realize it or not, or conscious of it or not, it just seems like, well, is there any other way? And obviously there is, seeing as we can create our own reality in a sense. But a minute we're using everybody else's ideas and creating this.
yeah,
So I don't think that's a very, very proper, intricate topic to talk about. For me, I just wrote a few things off the top of my head, like what we might not get time for, but on this talk. But if we do, I think some of themes for me, or some of like you call it bugbears or whatever. What first one is waking up to reality whilst most are still under programming. So that's not to be, like belittle other people, because I don't feel like I've escaped all, programs or
yeah,
all like that, or mind control or all, because it's an ongoing process. So, but I mean under heavy, where you still like, so what I mean by under heavy programming is you still buy newspapers to look at what's happening in the world and believe it fully. For instance, like, or you still watch news and believe it fully and don't understand like there's a lot of lies on there, a
mhm,
lot. So, I think waking up to reality whilst on how you get on with that, still navigating in this, you've still got to navigate in this world because you're still alive, but you can't subscribe to most of the things that most people still do. I think a lot of people are struggling with what to do about that. And then I think some people are just sort of finding other ways to keep this ends busy, whether it's do this, do that. You might not work for a corporation, you might work for yourself and keep busy doing that, whatever it is. So navigating when you've woke up to certain realizations. I called it waking up to reality.
mhm.
Another thing is just the way the money entrapment is keeping people from looking at the root problems
Yeah,
of life, and so keeping it with the Joneses and making ends meet, and just the money entrapment that people aren't aware of. And also another topic, the last topic what I wrote down is just the situation about balance. I don't understand much about it too much, but I've just got a little. I don't know whether is there always going to be like need to be like some sort of negative and positive all the time in this realm, like as a like a battery with a negative and a positive.
Yeah,
Is it possible to have just some sort of idea of paradise where it's all positive constantly? Because I think you do probably need both from what I've seen, but I think that it's gone to extreme of where it's just violently negative
yeah.
and hardly any positive. So maybe it could be balanced out a bit. They're my topics. They're a bit much, aren't they? But see what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
they're three different topics altogether.
yeah, I mean, I've felt before, over the last 3 years that as humanity, we're at the stage of claiming our voices and our self-allowed right to speak about these things.
Yeah,
We're like we're at the sort of level one bit,
yeah,
because of, like you said, heavy programming. So everyone's got a slightly different intensity or layering of programming, and you and I both shared with each other that we had more of a cosmic inquiry from a very early age of like what the dot 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 is going
yeah.
on this planet, or this thing that we seem to be participating in that we're told is life. This is life, though. This is whenever I've spoken to people in the past, like decades ago, from early life, but also up until recently, I don't know anyone that would necessarily disagree with my way of expressing what my assessment is of life. But I've found that many people will turn to me and say, yes, but that's life. So
Yeah.
there's been an acceptance already because of the programming. And you and I have both independently looked into mind control, monarch, slave, mind control, which I had erroneously thought was only for the celebrities. I did not realize, and this is my assessment, of course, that it's every single person from incarnation. And I don't know if it's been going on for
Mm.
centuries or what. So all the things that we're touching upon, we're just touching upon it as the way forward, aren't we? And we'll
Yeah, literally, like you
potentially
said,
more,
level one,
yeah, and hopefully more
entry level.
people, yeah, we'll keep going, having communions and communings together. I mean, I feel like digging into the money thing, Kyla. Why don't we? Because you and I have spoken about this so much in
Yeah,
so-called
I think it's
private.
very important to shine some light on this.
Yeah, I mean, this is to me the foundation of how it's done.
Yeah.
The monopoly tokens, you must earn your living.
Yeah, you've been saying it literally for 3 years. Obviously, you've thought it before then, but
Yeah.
like when you've started going online during all, um, somebody who I was listening to yesterday called it COVID time, which I thought was quite funny. But anyway,
God, yeah.
during COVID time, like you were bringing up about money system, you really want to own it. Once I heard touch on it, so what? Yeah, I'll just let you start off with it because you were one what proper put
Yeah.
it out there.
Yeah. Well, I just remember hearing that phrase, earn your living, from childhood. And I was asking my mom, like, what the hell's that sort of thing? What is this earning a living, mum? And then it was explained to me, by another programmed human being what it is.
Yeah,
It was all about getting educated, working hard. It was a meritocracy, and off you go to earn your living. And of course, I noticed that there were loads of people that weren't earning a living. They were living on the streets, or they were in institutions, or they were already in, uh, state prisons, etc., etc. This is just so horrifying. When you speak about balance, there isn't a balance at all. How can this be going on here and everyone having to go along with it? I'll
mm,
leave that on one side for a minute, but
yeah, yeah,
I want to speak about, like you said, 2020, the 2020's latest war against humanity, uh, scamdemic, plandemic, convid, whatever people are calling it, just to boundary it a bit.
mm,
I'm very unhappy with the reframing of earning your living. And that's already decades old. So let me just throw out a few phrases. Exchange, energy exchange, donation, by donation, pay what you wish, pay what you feel, pay what you can. This
Yeah.
is just another way to hide
Yeah, it is.
that the game on planet Earth is the money game or the monopoly token game. And we're obviously hearing rumors that that game is going to be reshaped again or reset again into central bank digital currency so that we can carry on as virtual slaves and we'll be using our digital tokens, etc., etc. Over to you, Kyla.
So yeah, that's it. And at the end of the day, I just want to shine awareness on the fact that every day, well, we've been taught you go to school, you go to college, you go to uni, you go to work, whichever one, if you can manage them,
Yeah,
and then it's just go and work. So I just, if everybody knows this stuff, if what would you be doing if you didn't have to,
yeah,
push them at max to get money to buy food what grow anywhere for free with soil
yeah,
and water and sun? Obviously, you can't grow your packets of crisp and your chocolate bars. We know that, but we don't even need that. We know that. So, like everybody knows, you don't need to be, you don't need to go in depth to know that we're all stretched, pulled away from as families, pulled away from as kids, plonking as kids in school all day while we work or whatever, and you're stretched away from them and you're missing all that time with them because you've got to go and make money. And at the end of the day, who decided about this money system? And a
yeah,
lot of people do understand this concept, but I don't think they can like comprehend that that might not be the only possible way to exist on this planet.
yeah,
I know there's other ways. I don't know what it'd be like, but there is other ways because there is possibility. But I I feel like, and I feel like the job thing has got people by the neck
mm-hmm,
because even when, say, if you want to, it's like you can't even be yourself when you're at work, really,
mm-hmm,
or there's consequences.
mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people don't like going to work. It's not
Yeah,
because 'cause they're lazy. It's because they
yeah,
know they're not gonna have to be themselves. Like, they're not lazy. They wanna do things and keep active, do the gardens, talk to people, but when you get in the workplace, you abide by certain forgot what it's not called now, a list of rules, and you can't be yourself, and you go in most of the time, you're going against yourself all day long. You
mm,
hate life and you just hate it, but you're doing it because you need that money to go and buy food and pay your rent.
yeah,
So it has got people back neck. You can't say what you want to say, and even through the COVID time, when people thought completely different, they were getting hammered with how you've got to think this, you've got to be now scared of a flu, you've never done this before, you've never worn a mask. All lot of you used to take piss out at Chinese, walking around Sheffield, wearing their masks.
yeah,
And now you all got one on. And it was just, everybody just got wiped. Like, it was just like no one was allowed thinking for themselves.
yeah,
And, and because of money system, like, they weren't allowed to say any of that. They just had to go along with it,
yeah,
or they might get fired. That's literally what they said. So it has really got a chain round people's necks, and
yeah,
I think it's important that more people start to click on about that and shine light on it. Not to, as the spiritual community trying to do, not to talk about negative all the time or be negative, but to shine a light on the reality of the situation so we can move forward beyond it. Because
yeah,
again, like, I don't want to really go into this topic too much, but all this talk about ascension, I've ascended somewhere, it's like it's just it's just too much. It's insanity. Where have you ascended to? Because most of them are still having to pay rent somewhere,
yeah,
sat on a phone,
yeah,
writing on Facebook, just like the 13-year-old teenage girl is.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So anyway, I could go on forever, but I'm just saying, like, the money system's got, it's like, did they say a noose round neck or something? Or have I got that word wrong?
Noose round the neck.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. That's a great phrase for it. Yeah.
not like that. Anyway, so I think it's preventing us moving forward massively. But it's a topic that I've noticed people avoid touching on. Like,
Yeah.
even people what are in any of these sort of like truth telling like fields, like there's not many of them that seem to want to talk about, and then they'll, like you said, they'll use these terms to flip what they're doing with money,
Yeah.
and it's all just, I think they're in hiding. I think a lot of these people what are actually saying that they've ascended or that they're about truth and they want to move forward with humanity, I think they're in hiding.
Mm.
That's what I've got to say about it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like it's simply okay to bring out our voices, because part of the programming is no one is allowed to speak about it, or
Yeah.
you've got to compete to have your voice heard, or you've got to
Mm.
be righter than the other one or
Yeah.
wronger than the other one. And all these things, I see it like this, like, Team Human or the human family, whatever, we're getting all of it out on the smorgasbord. It's like taking out all
Um,
the rubbish and going, right, what is BS and what isn't? It's not even personal. It's not like you're the one that's talking BS and I'm not. It's not this sort of thing that I, long for. It's like, can we sit down and consider that
and we look at it.
this doesn't work on this planet? And also, it's just been landing deeper, as I've said every day to you, Kyla, when we speak alone. Um, I am really upset that the hierarchy means that the so-called nobodies, which is the vast majority of us, are seen
Yeah.
and perceived and kept in a position of nobody. You
Yeah. I
don't
love that. Yeah.
don't speak. Don't speak. You need to be
Yeah.
informed or educated or directed by someone else. You're not allowed to have your own voice. And even if you do, it's pointless because nothing will ever change. So, going back to the topic of the money that you've detailed, like what you're seeing going on, I have been surprised over the last 3 years that despite speaking out about this, and I don't know how many people are speaking out about it because I don't know everyone in the world,
Yeah.
uh, there are people that will say, oh, but I don't have a job. I'm self-employed, or I run
Yeah.
my own business, or
Yeah.
I provide workshops, spiritual workshops, or workshops about how to grow food, or workshops. And it's like, yes, but it's still the so-called energetic exchange
Mm.
is still
Mhm. Need to
monopoly
get that
token.
money in.
Yeah, you
Need to.
want monopoly tokens because, like you said, you've got a mortgage to pay. You
Yeah.
have to pay at this moment in history. You must pay to live on planet Earth. You must pay
Yeah.
for food and shelter. And
So how have you ascended beyond money when you're still using it because you still need it? They still rely on people buying their stuff so that they can pay their rent, which is the same thing.
yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
So
And then,
how are you gonna go online and then sort of like portray that you're free and
yeah,
that you can do this workshop to set people free? Do
yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
what I mean though? All the
yeah,
fuckers who's gonna answer that? Which one of them is gonna really just say, well, they're gonna have a personal attack at me.
yeah.
Why? So it's not about it's not about individuals either. Do you know
No,
what I mean? Like this is what I said to you the other day. I'm wondering, Mauve, how can I talk about this stuff and shed light on it without looking like I'm trying to belittle people or patronize them about, because it's not about what the individual's doing for me, it's about the bigger wider picture that it's doing to all of us.
always,
But
yeah,
like you said, because people are re-perspectivizing what they're really doing and giving it a different name, such as donations or all them different names to say that how you're trading your money and for energy or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just they're using the mind to pretend that they're not doing the same as somebody who works for council or McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Unless I'm missing something, that is what's taking place. So how are they going to go online? I mean, it's not personal. Like they'll never can hardly find anybody what can understand. I'm just asking the generic question whether it's you. I'm self-employed, for instance.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to diss somebody who's self-employed, but I'm on about myself as well.
Yeah.
I know that I'm still very much in the fucking slave system. I'm doing it because we're not at a stage where we've got enough people
Mm.
what can flip the table over. Yeah, I'm ready to do that tomorrow. In fact, I'm ready to do that within the next hour. But
Yeah.
like only thing I can think what's the most logical thing to do now is shed light on look, I am admitting that I am in a captured slave. I'm a captured slave because I
Yeah.
don't have the support or fucking
Yeah.
we need each other to not be in a slave system. We it's not like one of us and it's like if one of us just stops doing it altogether, stops engaging, stops paying up bills, blah blah blah, somewhere down the line you're gonna have to engage with it again because everybody's still enacting it out around you.
Yeah, I think that final phrase as well is worth like highlighting again. Enacting it out. We are all having to act it out. Something that's anti-human from birth, anti-life, anti-freedom, and it's
Backwards.
intentionally
Everybody
done.
knows it's backwards. Like
Yeah.
even people what have got money and that deep down they do know. Not
They do.
everybody, but near enough. Everybody knows it's stupid now. Right, and it only works if you've got money coming in
Well,
because
that's it.
I wonder what's going to happen to people when that lifestyle they can't lead anymore because maybe they won't take the next job or they won't do this, they won't do that, they won't. You know what I mean? So then I think the next stage is they'll offer different things and people will just lap it up, whether it's Bitcoin, all that. That's a separate story.
It
So
is, and
does
that's already
that
been going on for a while as well, hasn't it? I mean, I was
yeah,
speaking to my father, who is not quote unquote awake, and he was saying to me, "Oh, crypto and all that stuff came in decades ago." Anyway, now I didn't know that
yeah.
because I just didn't know that because I'm not interested in making money. I don't even understand the system. It doesn't make sense. Economics doesn't make sense. Financial systems don't make sense. How
Mm,
do I know they don't make sense? Because I've looked into them all. And how do I know it? Because I'm living the
yeah,
fact that it doesn't make sense. And,
yeah.
Kyla, when you say all
It
that,
makes sense to them that are running it.
yeah,
It
make,
to
yeah,
keep us just ticking over, just feeding into their system
yeah,
and getting exhausted, depressed, and
yeah,
suicidal.
yeah. I mean, I would put it like we are already bought and sold from birth. We're already
Yeah,
bought and sold. We
yeah,
are the stakeholder capital that the capitalists play with.
yeah.
Excuse
There's
me.
no
Sorry.
point trying to put a positive spin on that because that is what it is. It's not doing it. It's not doing anybody any favors because if you look, you've the things you've got to do to get the money, and even if
Yeah,
then you've got like you're almost peeping other people that haven't had because like there's people like what I've come into this world what haven't got um like even so I don't even they haven't got the sort of like academic wording and stuff to be able to go and get jobs in the first place.
yeah,
Yeah, like for instance, do you know what I mean? Like someone who's close to me is not had that like that, not even come in, for
yeah,
instance, not he weren't even able to talk for many years. Um, born like early, can't write, can't read properly, and in the 30s now, never been able to work, not had any family support, in fact, being totally abused left, right, and centre. So how is that type of person, which there's many of, what fall down the great type of thing in society. You don't see them. As that person supposed to get to abundance or make that
Absolutely.
money and thrive in the business world? It's all bullshit.
It is.
Just
I
be,
think,
I think people just get some people got a bit like you. I don't know, like blind about that, and they think just because they're able to. Because me, I'm quite articulate. I mean, I've come from God knows what, but I don't know how I've come out like this. But that's helped me make some money, a little bit of money, not much, but get by a little bit.
yeah,
But
you
for
mean
people,
in order to survive. You're talking about in order to survive, aren't you?
yeah, but
Making
that's
money.
like the ability to communicate with people in jobs, or like, yeah, I've got that, but these people who haven't got that, and it's not their fault at all.
Yeah.
So what about them? It's just very, I don't know. I just think, I don't know, the way that some people are going off as if with this whole abundance terminology is that you can just create abundance by thinking about it.
Hmm.
I think they're so ignorant. I
Well,
think that is an ignorant approach, sorry.
yeah, I mean, I hear you. I feel this is the classic, one of the best classic examples of the programming. It's no one's fault except for the people that do the programming upon humanity that they say things like that. Many, many people for decades, and I'm at least 20 years older than you, aren't I, Kyla? Or something like that. For decades have been talking the program that they are programmed with, which is, I've reached abundance, or I have abundance, or I'm in service to, or I am giving and receiving, I'm giving and receiving. And it's like these,
Yeah,
I'm just checking the time, sorry, 10
says
minutes.
in 10 minutes.
This is a program, a mental thought program that does not correspond with the live and living reality of every human being.
Yeah, it just totally undermines the real reality, and we can't get to the reality without, doing what we're doing now, like fucking
Yeah,
just bringing it forward,
yeah,
talking about it.
yeah. Because it's like the key thing that I keep wanting to express is it is no one's fault on
Yeah,
this planet that you, me, and others, and everyone apart from those that do it. It is
yeah,
not anyone's fault that they have received programming. It is not anyone's fault they have been programmed, conditioned, trained to keep
yeah,
propping
because
up this.
yeah, that's it. Because if you look at like families, like look at my own family, and then like the stuff that, and I've learned about the stuff that they've been through is the reason why they were how they were with us, and that's affected us. So it keeps going back and back, and then and back and back, and it's like I don't know how it originally started and
No,
what went on and why we're in this perpetual going down, down, down to more and more suffering.
yeah,
I don't know, but it does get passed down, and yes, you can rise above some things depending. You know what I mean? Not everybody, especially with no support, not everybody can.
yeah. I'm going to just pause you there, Kyla. You've made a statement that I cannot agree with, which doesn't mean we're at war with each other. I do not think people are rising above anything.
No, I
Like,
mean, what I meant by that is like these little bits you can like achieve, throughout your
like what?
just I'm on about little steps. So say for instance, that family member that I'm on about what's coming, like
Yeah,
that, can't read, can't write. And
yeah,
then they end up getting their first job, learning how to communicate a bit and feeling a bit of self-confidence, and it's like a little step. So
yeah,
I think there's mini ones like that we're doing. Do you know what I mean when I say little rising above the
yeah,
shit? And then with myself, like I didn't start off like this to be able to have this type of conversation. Like I've
yeah,
done the little
yeah.
steps to get to this. That's what I meant by it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, Kyla. That makes sense. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah, it's
But they're just like little steps to help you, realize, get to this point we're at, where it's like, oh, well, they were sort of like very, very minuscule steps compared to the fact that we are still in this
yeah,
massive
yeah,
entrapment.
I think it's that, Kyla. It's like
Yeah.
because I'm so edgy about the programmed lies that are perpetually repeated by human mouths, and
Yeah.
understandably so. I get
Yeah.
very angsty about, like, we can take steps and this is going to be better because of, I'm really glad you
Oh,
clarified
yeah, yeah. No,
in the
thanks
way
for
you
asking
did.
me, because like sometimes I'll say things online as well, and then people will like think I mean something totally different. So it's
Yeah,
good when someone gives you a chance to like say, what do you mean, or something,
yeah,
and then you get a chance to actually explain.
yeah. And I mean, this is key in this era, as far as I'm concerned. Us like
Yeah.
checking out with one another.
What do you
What
mean?
do
Yeah.
you mean by blah blah blah? And
Yeah.
this is what I mean
Yeah,
by blah
like
blah.
when I said, "Oh, we can rise above it," I don't mean in that way, like what other people like in sort of spiritual fields and circles are saying, like,
Yeah.
like in that ascension type thing. I mean, I had one guy in this ascension type atmosphere bubble like thing,
Mm.
and he said like something like, I said, I've never met nobody who's beyond deception. So we
Mm.
can all be deceived
Yeah.
at any point by us, friends, families, partners, or whoever, jobs, whatever. And he came back and said, this is a young-ish, I don't even think he's over 30. And he said, I said, I've never met no one who's beyond deception. And he wrote back online, well, you have now, me.
Out himself. Yeah.
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 So I don't know, really. I don't know what to say.
I don't know. I don't know what to say to that either. That is extraordinary.
He was
And
telling me that this is someone who says, it's all about ascending, um, all that stuff. Um, yet he's telling the world to go and get Bitcoin to save him from what's coming. Now he might have some Bitcoin. I might need to lend some Bitcoin off him as we go forward. I don't know, but I don't think that's the answer. I think that might be able to get me something in future, for instance, like, I don't know, some food or something that I need, but maybe not, but it's still the same thing as what we're dealing with now. So
yeah.
where do you send it to?
Yeah, it's a repackaging of the game we've
Yeah,
already
that's it.
played since incarnation, that our
Yeah,
mothers and fathers played, our
yeah,
grandparents played, and God knows who else, like you said, like
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Um,
So it's all
why,
really weird, isn't it? It's
yeah,
strange. Because we're
why is,
like, for some reason, we can't seem to find many people where and it's not a diss, it's just how it is. Because like I said, I didn't always used to feel like this, but it's a stage I'm at, and we can't find many people where we can just look at this, can we? Where we can
oh,
just put it on the table and say, what the fuck is this money system? What is this? And with really basic questions that you people like your politicians and that can't stand, and they will avoid till they die in day, because the simplest questions have people running away scared.
yeah,
People are talking riddles for all day, confuse everybody, but when
yeah,
you ask a direct question, they know where to be seen and they avoid it.
mm,
Why? Now, me and you, we're trying to ask simple questions and get them answered, and
yeah,
we're just finding that quite hard for anybody around us, hardly, aren't we?
yeah, it's really hard. It's, I feel we're at sort of, my longing is for what I call the liberation era, which is we liberate from bullshit and structures and systems, and we do it ourselves with one another as equals. But it's taking a little bit longer to get to base level than I thought, which is, can we look at what is a thing called a money system, economics or finances? What is a thing called a political system? Did we agree to it? Did anyone ask for it? Did we give our consent? And the answer is no, 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 we didn't. That's my answer. But I'm not going to impose that upon other people, but I want to be able to commune as equals together. And, that's why
So,
you and I are
yeah,
discussing it, and we're discussing it with other people, because we're not asking the authorities for the answers. We are bringing the answers from within, and we're sharing them out loud, and we want to speak with others, don't we?
and I
That's,
think what leads on to the next part, what we could briefly talk about, is
yeah,
what is going on within people
yeah,
to stop that conversation happening.
yeah,
Straightforward conversation between each other, where you've got
yeah,
your view, bring it to the table, I've got mine, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. Now, I don't. There's a lot of people, like I said, they're saying they've ascended off somewhere. They're saying they're at the strongest capacity they've ever been at. They're saying everybody should come here because this is where it's at. So
Yeah.
why are we struggling with? I would have thought that a basic conversation would have been, do you know what I mean? Like easy for them if they're at that level. But it
Yeah.
isn't, I've noticed. But it's
Yeah.
finishing, isn't it, this part now?
Yeah, this is finishing. Let's press pause and we'll come back in for the next bit, Kyla. Thank you.
All right, then we'll see
Hang
you in a
on.
bit.